Please have the roll call.
Councilmember Abdelgawad absent. Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Berenson.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Circo absent. Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have no presentations and awards this evening or personal appearances, so I'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Icky.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call on Mr. Krass for a report from Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Icky and Mr. Mayor, and members of this council. Just in addition to my written report, we did get the results of the September 7th Household Hazardous Waste event. There were 377 cars that dropped off materials at the event. 209 of those were from Raymore. Total collected was 52,355 pounds. Mark reports that is the largest event they've hosted so far this year. So it was a very successful event. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions of staff? Mr. Holman.
Just one. I was wondering, Mr. Krass, at some point, no rush whatsoever, but a couple of years ago, you gave us a presentation prior to us putting some additional monies into the Road Preservation Fund about the status of each of our streets in the city, which ones were in good, which ones were in fair. I would certainly be interested in hearing that information again from an updated standpoint. I found it very valuable at the time, especially when we make decisions on the budget. So, and you may already have that planned for a future work session, but if not, it's something I think everybody else would be interested in as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Move right along. Mr. Icky.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mustine is unable to attend tonight to give his verbal report, but his written report is available in the packet on page 9. I'd like to call on Mrs. Harmer to give a report for the Communications Department.
Good evening, Mayor Turnbow and members of the council. I have two things I want to talk to you about this evening quickly. In July, I applied on behalf of the city to request funding through the Mid-America Regional Council Solid Waste Management District's mini grant program to assist with outreach efforts and promote waste reduction and recycling. So I asked to have funds to purchase 3 recycling stations to be used at city-sponsored events at our parks and facilities. The mini grant application was approved last week in the amount of $2,626 to cover the cost and shipping fees of 3 three-stream recycling stations. That's 9 42-gallon recycling receptacles, and along with very clear, durable signage to support our sustainability efforts at events that draw anywhere from 200 to 2,000 plus people. While we do have recycling bins available at City Hall and our other buildings here for staff use, there's currently no recycling program in place for our events at any of our 8 parks and 2 event spaces. Sorry, I guess I walked up here really fast. The addition of clearly visible and official recycling stations at any of our dozen or more city-sponsored community events throughout the year will make a huge difference in the amount of waste we can divert from the landfill. For example, each year for our Easter Festival, our 1,500 plus attendees are given complimentary cans of soda after the egg hunt. Aluminum cans are easily recyclable. They're one of the more valuable items that can be recycled, and they can be recycled over and over and over again. It just makes sense to have a way to recycle them instead of throwing them in the trash. I believe it's important to lead by example and showing our residents and visitors to our community that we believe in the importance of recycling, and doing it the right way would not only reduce the waste created at our events, but educate and encourage our residents to choose to recycle in their homes when, as we know at the time, recycling service costs are rising, and when many people are unsure about what's really happening globally with recycling. With the award of the grant, we'll have some reporting and reimbursement procedures to follow, and I'll be meeting with Mark's environmental planner tomorrow to go over all the details. So that's that. And I just wanted to give you an update on the gala. Thank you everyone who has donated items. That's been really great. We have some new sponsors too. So we have our Lion Tamer $2,000 middle sponsorship is Brenton Electric Company, and Gilmore Bell is our tie rope walker $1,500 sponsor. We also have Piper Jaffrey is a sponsor as well, and I know that I emailed all of you on Friday about volunteer opportunities or whether you're interested in tickets and our ticket sales event kickoff. That's next Monday, so get with me after the meeting if you have any questions about that. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Holman?
Have you checked with Kapke and Willarth? Because I've heard they will not be outdone by Gilmore and
I
Bell
have had
with
an email.
sponsorships. You might
I have
just
had an
ask them.
email.
Anyone else? Mr. Barber, is your hand up? No? Okay.
Thank you.
I did, before you go, so let me get this straight. So these recyclable cans will be for events only, right? They won't be out permanently in the parks, correct? So just special events that occur, like what just happened at Festival in the Park, or if we start to have events that occur at our, down at Hawk Ridge.
Yes.
At the amphitheater. How about the farmer's market? It's small. I know it's almost done, isn't it?
We just have one more week. So
One more week.
But next year, that's certainly something that we could do. Yes.
But it is special events only.
That is,
Where-
and that is what I applied for the grant, because I know that contamination is a problem, so I wanted to at least start that way.
Sure. I just want to make that perfectly clear to folks, and I'm hopefully in our education on the use of that folks will know that they're not going to be in our parks all the time, that it's just for those event purposes. But thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good job on the grant. Anyone else? Mr. Icky.
That is all for the staff report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Icky? Okay. Moving right along, we have the consent agenda. Comes up next. Let me digress. Any committee reports? You don't have any updates to give tonight? Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items on our consent agenda. The city council minutes for the September 9, 2019, and our public works roof project acceptance and final plat. I would entertain a motion to dispose of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented to include items A, city council minutes from the September 9th, 2019 meeting, and item B, the public works roof project acceptance and final payment.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. We have no unfinished business tonight to pursue, so we'll move on to new business at this time. Could I please have the reading of Resolution 19-52 by title only?
The reading of Resolution 19-52 by title only, a resolution of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the schedule of fees.
Thank you. This item requires a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call on Mrs. Williams to make that staff report.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The resolution before you is to adjust a few items on our schedule of fees for our fiscal year 20. Moving in the order of the schedule of fees, the License Tax Review Committee met in July and recommends increasing the excise tax per trip by the rate of the construction cost index as of May 2019. That rate is 1.023%. The water and sewer section includes increases to the tap fees, also related to the construction cost index of 1.023%, as well as increasing the meter supply fee to the cost of purchase. Staff met with council in a work session back in August regarding the cost of service water and sewer rate model, and the adjustments to the water and sewer rates are also before you in our fee schedule. Thank you. That concludes staff report.
Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff? I see none. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. So that we do have a public hearing open at this time. If anyone from the audience would like to address the council on this particular topic, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. I see no one coming for us. So we'll close the public hearing at this time, and I would entertain a motion to dispose of Resolution 19-52.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Resolution 1952, amending the schedule of fees.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Resolution 19-52. Any further discussion? Mr. Holman.
Just a little bit of info. as far as the changing of fees, really didn't change very many. There's about 3 in there, and they're all based on cost of service changes or the changes in the CCI index. So pretty minor changes that were going to come into place pretty much automatically.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate that explanation. Anyone else? There's no further discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Could I please have a reading of Resolution 19-50 by title only?
The reading of Resolution 19-50 by title only, a resolution in support of the application to the Missouri Housing Development Commission for financing the Grant Park Villas in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Yes, sir. I'd like to call on Mr. Carteret to make that report.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, if I may, there's a brief presentation to be made tonight, so I'd like to broadcast that to your computers
Okay,
before I
thank you.
begin. Okay, you all see that?
We do.
Very good. Jeff Beckler, who is representing Zimmerman Properties, is proposing a 48-unit affordable senior housing rental development at the southeast corner of Adams Street and Grant Drive. This 3+ acre property is located on the north side of 58 Highway, just to the south of the townhomes of the Point. The developer is proposing to utilize the low-income housing tax credit program, which does require approval from the Missouri Housing Development Commission. Local support through our council for the development is an important criteria in gaining approval of the application by the commission. And Resolution 19-50, which is before you this evening, would indicate City Council support for the application. This item was discussed at your September 16th work session. I know there was a few questions from the council members. We've asked Mr. Beckler to do a brief presentation this evening and address some of those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Again, I'm here for support of Grant Park Villas, and I've condensed what we talked about last Monday for the sake of time and for the sake of not being redundant. I tried to incorporate some of the questions that you all had on Monday and address those, and I have a few new schematics in there that I thought you guys may want to see. Just really quick, again, who we are. We're in Springfield, Missouri. We own and operate in 15 states. Our property management arm, Wilhoy Properties, we manage over 15,000 units across the Midwest and Southeast. We've developed over 100 projects. Again, we've been involved with the program excuse me, since its inception. And here locally in Belton, we have Briar Creek Villas, a 48-unit 55 and up community, Lakewood Terrace, right across the street there. We developed and constructed and still manage those today. And we also constructed and manage here in Raymore the Ridgeway Villas at the Legends. That's a 56-unit family community. Again, on a little overview, it's a mix of 1-2 bedroom apartments, 48 units. I'll kind of go down this fast since you guys heard about it Monday, but a lot of amenities, fitness center and community courtyards, picnic area, barbecue area, computer center and library. It'll be a mix of 28 2-bedrooms, 21 bedrooms. We'll have ample parking, more than what is required. And we just shored up our relationship with Rainbow Housing as far as providing services for our residents. It's a tremendous program. Again, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I could spend 10-15 minutes talking about the services they provide and the positive feedback we get from residents that they do that nationwide. It's services for residents is their only focus. So it's a really cool program, and I'd be free to share any information of that after the meeting if you'd like. Full-time maintenance on the property. We will also have a full-time property manager on site. And Rainbow Housing not only we have 24/7 services that's through an innovative kind of web-based program, but we'll also have a 20-hour-a-week on-site service coordinator. And I wanted to address council member Y. Raymore. You know, Briar Creek's been really successful on the other side in Belton. I had a lengthy conversation with our property manager over there, and we've got 218 seniors on the waiting list over there. So that is a major reason why, you know, with Ridgeway, with that property and having a relationship there, and then coming here, it just makes sense. The demand is so high, and that's what kind of steered us towards Raymore. Since Monday, we've gotten some schematics, and it's kind of tough to see on the screen. Maybe a little bit better on your monitors there, but
Not
some
really.
elevations and a schematic of the building footprint and how it would kind of sit on the site there. I just kind of wanted to include that real quick for you guys. There was a question from, I believe it was Councilmember Sonia. She asked about maintaining our portfolio. And so I did some research and talked with upper management and found some properties that we were successful enough to go through with years ago. And so I wanted to show years ago and how these are maintained. These are recent pictures, whether it be current Facebook pictures that our property managers take, or it's their inspection pictures that the investor comes out and takes pictures, or our own firm takes pictures, or MHDC, the state agency, will take. So, you know, Bridgewater in Kansas, that's a 2007 property. Callaway Village, we have two phases there. That's a 2004 property. Sapulpa, Oklahoma is 2003. Kensington in our hometown, 2002. So I just wanted to kind of show, and I wish she was here, but hopefully it can be conveyed that we really maintain our properties. If we don't, it comes back on us and we fall out of compliance, and that's bad news for everyone. So none of us want that to happen, not for us, and surely not for the residents. Another issue that came up Monday, accessibility and visitability. So I wanted to include this to address that question. And since we will be elevator accessed, all of the units will be visitable. It's a fair housing quote unquote word that they came up with. So all the units will be visible because of that elevator access. Three of our units we are making fully accessible. So we've declared 3 of the units fully accessible. And also, with speaking with property management, Willoyd Properties, they're willing to make any reasonable accommodation for residents, and examples of that include, you know, can we get this toilet raised, installation of a ramp if it's needed, you know, these things that pop up over the, you know, a lot of times seniors, once they move into one of our properties, the trend is they're there for a long time. And so if something pops up where a ramp is needed, you know, we make reasonable accommodations as far as that goes. So I wanted to include that because accessibility did come up Monday. And another topic that came up was safety. So I had a long conversation with our vice president of property management about this issue that came up Monday as far as Briar Creek being right next to Lakewood. And so I learned quite a bit of information from her. She discussed with me that Briar Creek and Lakewood they've installed emergency call buttons. And so that's with the on-site property managers. It's just a one-touch button that alerts local officials. And then the fire department, we've also installed knock boxes. So, you know, something happens at 2 a.m., they can quickly come in there and get inside those boxes and have master keys. So those have been installed. She conveyed to me that, you know, obviously we take every situation that's reported, it's investigated immediately. Any merit that's found on those, residents are immediately evicted. Drug-free addendums exist for both properties, so any indication that something contradicts that addendum, those residents are evicted immediately, and obviously officials are contacted there. She did say that she's not learned of any situations from either of those properties, but she did say that some of this was kind of new information, so she wanted me to share it with you all. And she also stated that residents like to like to see and hear is if a situation is reported, they do a statement, so they'll issue a statement to all the residents. Hey, this happened, everything's fine, just, basically letting everybody know, being transparent on what's going on, so, and any actions that we are taking place. And that's it. And I wanted to finish again for the benefits of Raymore. I went over these Monday, but I just wanted to show these again and what we're excited about this project. Again, it's not a requirement for the application, but Zimmerman Properties, I mean, that's usually our first call is to the city to make sure that everybody's supportive. It's a very competitive process. To have your guys' support would be advantageous to the extreme, and really make Raymore stand out and Grant Park Villas stand out. So I'm asking for your guys' support tonight.
Thank you, sir. By the way, one of the things that I felt was very informational with regard to what goes on up there at the Ridgeway Villas is that when we were up there for an open house one time, they provided us with a list of the vocations of the residents. It was pretty interesting because you had bus drivers, you had nurses, you had police officers, people who are working, but unfortunately are some people that are in kind of a low-paying position.
Sure.
And the LIHTC program allows them to have an extremely nice residence with assistance, and I thought that was a very good course. I don't think theirs is plus 55 though, is it, Jim? It's just low-income housing. Or it's income adjusted housing,
right.
But it's part of the LIHTC program.
Yes, sir.
And I really like that this is plus 55 because one of the biggest complaints, I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce here, one of the biggest complaints that comes in via telephone is, where's the 55 plus community around here? There aren't any. We want to move to Raymore, but there just isn't that ability to do that. So
Well, I'm glad you said that.
We appreciate
because
the project here.
I'm glad you said that about the income, because as little as 3 or 4 years ago, I could be living at Lakewood Terrace.
Sure.
So, everybody starts somewhere. And with seniors, we find that a lot of them are just looking to downsize, and, they're spending 40, 50% of their income on rent. And you try to stay below that 30% line, and you all know, nowadays that's hard to do. So just looking for an affordable, safe place to stay.
Of course, in this day and age, a lot of people are still working past 55.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any questions of Mr. Beckler? Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet.
Any further questions of staff? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of Resolution 19-50.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman,
I move that we approve Resolution 19-50, support of application to MHDC for the Grant Park Villas.
thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve Resolution 19-50. Any further discussion? Mr. Holman?
I did have a question. Mr. Cataret, there's going to be a good neighbor meeting on this, but it hasn't taken place yet. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. So this property does require a reclassification of zoning. We have the Good Neighbor meeting scheduled for this Wednesday at 6 o'clock here in this room, and then it would be presented to the Planning Commission for a recommendation on October 15th.
And this is in the general vicinity of Ramblewood at Jeter Farms, is that correct?
That is the neighbor to the east.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I would just add that, as you all know, this resolution is just for the letter of support for their application for the program, not for the project approval itself. So I would, if there's nothing else, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you. Can I please have a reading of Resolution 19-51 by title only?
The reading of Resolution 19-51 by title only. A resolution of the City of Raymore, Missouri, confirming the decision to install sidewalk on certain identified undeveloped lots and authorizing city staff to take the steps necessary to have sidewalks installed.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
I'd like to call on Mr. Cataret to give that staff report.
Thank you, sir. Back at your September 9th meeting, Council held 4 public hearings on those undeveloped lots that were determined to meet the threshold to require to have sidewalk installed by the property owner. At that time, you voted to proceed with preparation of a resolution to confirm the decision that the city would install the sidewalk if the property owners do not. Should you approve the resolution this evening, staff will notify each property owner of the 4 lots of the city's decision to install sidewalk, but that decision would be, and the work would not be completed no sooner than September 1st of 2020. So in essence, giving them almost a 1 full year extension. We utilize that September 1st deadline date. We try to minimize the time between when we install the sidewalk and when we're able to place a special assessment on the property. We want to limit that time. So in fact, at this point in time, we're looking to install sidewalks that you authorized a year ago. So it's a yearly program that we go through. I have had discussions with the property owners involved. They're aware of the requirement and aware that if council does approve this resolution this evening, they have to either install the sidewalk or have a home under construction on the property before September 1st, or we will install the sidewalk. So staff does request approval of resolution 19-51.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Thank you, Jim. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman?
I move that we approve Resolution 19-51, confirmation of undeveloped lots to have sidewalks installed by the city.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve Resolution 19-51. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3486 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3486 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the grant of easement rights to Realty Income Corporation over a driveway easement being part of Tract B of the Raymore Galleria North First Plat, all in the City of Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
I'd like to call on Mr. Zer for that staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Icky, Mayor, members of the council. The bill before you this evening will allow the city to grant easement rights to Realty Income Corporation, which is currently the owner of the property that the China Star restaurant is being operated upon. These easement rights were originally obtained by the city of Raymore back in 2015 and allows for a second access point from the property currently being operated as China Star. The owner of the property has requested this easement, and the staff is in agreement with the proposed easement as well. The main entrance onto 58 Highway was deemed to have some safety issues when the relocated Kentucky Road went in, given how close that access point was to the new lighted intersection at relocated Kentucky and 58, which justifies the need for utilization of this easement. This will be a non-exclusive easement, so the city will still be able to maintain its access rights to it, but the city would not be able to foreclose Realty Income Corporation's access to those rights as well without mutual agreement on the same. This makes sure that they continue to have 2 access points, one onto Old Kentucky Road and one onto the newly relocated Kentucky Road. I'm happy to answer any questions, but that would conclude staff report.
Thank you. I think we're all really familiar with that piece of property, but does anyone have any questions? Mr. Holman?
Just to kind of rephrase what you said. So basically what we're doing here, operationally, that thing's been open for quite a while since we constructed it, and there's vehicles that go through, their vehicles and other vehicles accessing the new relocated Kentucky Road. Basically, this just says that we can't go in and close that road without talking to them first if we chose to do so.
That's basically putting it. Each party would need to be able to agree to the closure of that access point with the grant of this easement.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? No question. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to dispose of the first reading of Bill 3486.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman?
I move that we approve Bill 3486, grant of easement, Realty Income Corporation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3486. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Wow, that concludes new business. Okay, we're on to public comments. If anyone from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. No one's rushing the podium, so I will move on to Mayor-Council communication. And I'll start with you tonight, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Mr. Jacobson.
In an effort to be brief, I have nothing this evening either, sir.
All right. Mr. Burke.
I have no comment this evening.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to find something to say.
Okay.
I'd like to just briefly thank the Bank of Raymore and all the volunteers and sponsors who put on the festival in the park this weekend. Our family goes every year. We had a fantastic time. We got to watch the parade this year and really enjoyed ourselves. And it's just one of the many things that makes Raymore that sense of community and has that small town feel. So everybody involved in it, I'd like to say thank you. It was a fantastic event and pretty good weather for the most part.
It was.
A little touch and go there for a minute, but
Yeah.
very, very good. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of piggyback on that. Even though Festival in the Park is really not a city function, the city does provide logistics to do Festival in the Park, from staff to police officers to the park itself. So yeah, I agree with Councilman Barrington. It was kind of neat. I think it's ironic, I don't know if anybody went to the parade, but our chief of police was in the fastest car in the parade. I don't know if she did that on purpose or not, but she was. So, and I want to say something to the high school kids. Jay, I'm sure, is going to give you a Cliff Notes version of what went on today, but you picked the perfect meeting to come to, the best one.
Thank you. Mr. Holman.
I don't have much. I was just going to welcome the American government students that are here tonight. I don't think I'm going to do a Cliff Notes. It was such a short meeting. I think they've got this in hand. They've comprised the bulk of our audience tonight, with the exception of the Honorable Mr. Peterman and the press that's here this evening. So that's all I have, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you. And Mr. Berenson was right. The parade was great. That was part of the festival in the park. We had a lot of fun with that. And although Mr. Elliman was trying to get me to race with him after the parade, I backed off. I admit, he did have the fastest car in the parade. But it was awesome. By the way, our marching band, Ray-Pec Marching Band, went immediately from there down to Carl Junction for a marching band competition and finished, I think, third in the marching band competition there. Is that statewide? Or is that the west side of the state? I know you guys are back there saying, yeah, we know that. But anyway, congratulations to the Ray-Pec Marching Band. They did a great job down there at Carl Junction. We're real proud of them. Mr. Wilson does a great job with that group. And then congrats to the folks that had to work the household hazardous waste. 209 from Raymore, that's a pretty good number. I think we were held to a 200 minimum, weren't we, or maximum? We're gonna let the last 9 sneak through, I guess, and dump their hazardous waste. That was nice. And then congrats to Melissa for getting our grant. That's awesome, for the recycle bins in our parks for the events, special events. And I think that's all I have. We have no reason to move into executive session.
Yes, we do, sir.
Oh, we do? Okay, well, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we move into executive session to discuss personnel matters as authorized by the revised statute, State of Missouri 610.021, subsection 3.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to move into executive session. Could I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad absent. Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Berenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Serco absent. Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobson?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Okay, we have a unanimous vote. We'll now move into executive session. At the end of executive session, we'll come back to open session to adjourn. Thank you.